Hey Facebook, Tracy's Got Guts here. Alright, I'm talking to you guys about my SIBO healing journey, and it's been a minute. I have been focused on my house, and literally, my tagline is change from the inside out, and that is what I've been doing to my house. Just changing everything. It started with my older son wanting his room to be more like a teenage room, and it just has become this major project, but it's been really good. It's like you Marie Kondo everything, and it's been really good just cleaning things out. We ripped up the carpets, got new flooring, I've painted everything. it's been quite an undertaking, but so I haven't been doing my lives. I think I did one a week ago or a week and a half ago after I had my colonoscopy, because I was sharing with you I felt terrible after that, and just what Miralax does to the body. And so it's been this really weird recovery for me post colonoscopy. So but I'm feeling a little bit better today. I started my water fast. So Sunday night was the last time I ate, and I'm doing this as part of my SIBO protocol to help with healing my SIBO. And those of you guys that have been following me, you know that I had cancer as well. So I just got hit in the head with a leaf. So it is still smoking hot in Texas, I'll tell you that. It's not that cool. I was like, oh, it's gonna be nice and cool outside because it was this morning, but I walked out and I was like, nope, it's super hot. So anyway, I wanted to share a little bit about why water fasting is important. I posted something from Dr. Pompa yesterday. He had put something together on the benefits of water fasting. So I wanted to share those things with you guys and how I've seen that play out in my experience with water fasting, as well as some clients and my mom actually too, who she's done one water fast, but she does weekly water fast. She does a 24-hour water fast. So here's the biggest one for me was autophagy and ketones, and that's really what piqued my interest, was because post-cancer my blood work was a nightmare. My A1C was high, so it flagged me as pre-diabetic, which was crazy if you guys see the way I eat. Then it was my LDL was high. I had 25 extra pounds, and I've always been super athletic and stuff and fit, and I could not, no matter what I did, could not lose weight. This was 2 years ago, I guess. So that's really what piqued my interest, was because I started to, I changed my diet, just really subtle things. I limited fruit at the time. It was about 90 days it started out, but then it ended up being 6 months, and I just did like berries and green apples, just the lower glycemic fruits. And then I actually took out a lot of starchy vegetables, which I eat a lot of starchy vegetables. I eat, sweet potatoes a lot and carrots and things like that. So I took those out of my diet for a time, and literally within 3 weeks, I lost like 20 pounds. And so decided to do the water fast after that. It was right after Christmas, and they were, Dr. Pompa has a group called Fasting for a Purpose. So if you're curious about it, look that up on Facebook. And there's so many members, I don't even remember how many now, but he does group water fasts. So he's doing his next one October 27th, and really helps to do it as a group, I think, because you have support, and he does a lot of videos on how to pre-fast, but get fat adapted so that you're not struggling so much if you go into the water fast. So, I understand a lot of people think, I hear this all the time, like, oh, I eat really good, and it's not really good or bad. It's just, a lot of us are on the standard American diet, and our food is tainted with glyphosate, which I'm going to sit on this bench because my back is hurting. So more on that in a second. So anyway, I was really curious about autophagy, like what does that mean and all that. So I started to do the water fast because of that, and because I had been 3 years cancer-free at the time, but my white blood cell count always continued to stay low. And when I asked my oncologist, she was like, oh, that's just your new normal, which I hate that, because I'm like, I just don't think that should be, you know, like, let's think about this. Let's do something about this. I don't really like to accept that this is just what it is. I feel like God has created our bodies to be just have infinite intelligence and the ability to heal. And my husband, who was sick and had a neurological condition called CRPS, his doctor says the same thing. Like, our bodies are so intelligent that, you know, we are able to heal from the inside out. And so that's kind of the people that I follow. I don't really like to subscribe to this is just your new normal, or here's your medication, just take this. And because usually one medication leads to another medication, leads to another medication. So I don't really subscribe to a lot of the big pharma stuff unless it's totally necessary. Sometimes it's necessary, and I get that. So, but for me, I was like, okay, well, I want to figure out a different way. So water fasting it was. So one of the things that it can help improve is autophagy. And so what that is just basically, while you water fast, your body, which is another thing that happens during water fast, is your energy can be used for healing. So when we eat, our energy is used for digestion, which is you know, a big part of our everyday life. And so when you stop digestion and you water fast, your body is able to heal other parts. So, and I've really experienced it this time, but 2 years ago when I did it, I was like, okay, well, let's see if this works. So sure enough, I've water fasted almost every time before my oncology appointments. Like, now I'm down to my last one, which will be next week. Yay! So I'll be almost 5 years. January 22nd, 2020 will be 5 years cancer-free. So I go for my last CT scan, so I have to take the barium stuff, which it just rocks me a lot of times, for a couple days. But then I do my CT scan, and I had my colonoscopy was clear. So anyway, I go to her, and every single time I've gone and water fasted before, my white blood cell count has gone back, like has creeped up slowly. So I'll be really curious to see what it is, because I've done 3 water fasts this time prior to seeing her. So the results will show. But every time it's been really cool to see. So the energy thing I was talking about, just like I've had 7 weeks of working on the house, painting, moving furniture, doing all this stuff. Finally, I had worked out one day. I was just like, okay, I just want to work out. By the second day, my back started hurting, and I probably did, I did jump squats. I shouldn't have. I'm not, my body sometimes like, no, don't stop doing those. But I did them anyway, and so my back was just aching. And yesterday, I went to the chiropractor, and I don't know if you guys experience this, but when I go, sometimes like my body is, when it's really inflamed or hurting like that, which doesn't happen very often to me, but I just am like tired. Like I feel like I just need to rest my body. And so yesterday, normally there's no limit, like how much do you drink? Like people will ask like, how much water do you drink? And it's like, just drink when you're thirsty. But I think because my body was in a process of healing yesterday, I was not thirsty. I was not hungry. Usually day one, I feel that kind of like desire for like, okay, where's my coffee or where's my smoothie or whatever it is. It was like I had no desire for anything. I had a raging headache, which is not necessarily abnormal, but normally it happens on day 2 for me. So, but I think it was just my back was hurting and my neck and head were hurting anyway. So I really could feel how my body was just wanting to heal. And I didn't eat anything, so it was kind of good because I wasn't digesting. It could heal. And so today I woke up feeling amazing, like much better. I have no headache at all. And I still don't feel hungry, but I still feel like I'm healing. Like my body's still a little achy. That's why I sat down, because I could tell it was hurting. But I was trying to get myself moving, because otherwise it just gets stiff. So that was really interesting to me, to just see how my energy, when it shifts from digestion to other parts of my body, I do feel better. And the other thing was, since my colonoscopy, I've just had all this congestion. You know, when you take Miralax, it kind of opens up the tight junctions to allow, like between the cells, to allow the water into the colon, but it doesn't just do it to the colon. It can do it through the whole gut membrane, which is nasal to anus. And so literally it was like the floodgates opened. So some of the things that are pretty cool about water fasting is, you know, it's going to help with clearing out some of that congestion in me. So autophagy. Here's the other thing that I wrote these down so I wouldn't forget. It boosts our heart health because it improves blood pressure and triglycerides. So those of you that are on blood pressure medication or your triglycerides are high, water fasting can help. And I've seen it because my mom, and she wasn't on it for a super long time period, but she was put on blood pressure medication because her blood pressure would go up. And she was like, maybe it's just white coat syndrome, you know, but it does run in our family. And so she decided to do the blood pressure medication. Well, when she came down 2 years ago and did the water fast, one water fast, and then she does it weekly. So my mom did one 5-day water fast, and then she does a 24-hour water fast every like Wednesday or something. And after she did the 5 days, she is not, because I asked her a couple months ago, I'm like, did you ever have to get, put on the blood pressure medication again? She's like, no, it's just stayed like normal. So, and she was doing it at the doctor's office, her blood pressure, and at home, and it had been elevated, which was why she thought she should go on it. And so I'm so grateful, because the water fast, 5-day water fast, seemed to really help her, and then the weekly one too. So those of you that are just like, oh my gosh, how do you do 5 days? That's crazy. I would just encourage you to try one day, like especially if you have some of these issues, like you have chronic pain, chronic illness, if you have high blood pressure, high triglycerides, or you have your blood sugar levels are high. That's another one, because that's going to help you to normalize the blood sugar. And one of my other, she was a client at Orange Theory, and she's done multiple water fasts. And this girl, I'll tell you what, she has done water fasts for like 12, 14 days. I don't even know what her longest was. I'm just like, holy cow. But she has diabetes, and so she decided that she wanted to do it to promote healing as well. And the cool thing about it is it helps control blood sugar and reduces insulin resistance. So I'm not sure kind of where Jennifer's at right now with all of that, but what I do think is I know it was kind of helping her a lot with her blood sugar. And mine is always, it's been normal since I've water fasted regularly. So just try it for one day. Like even if you do a 24-hour, there's still benefit. And I mean, Dr. Papa says, even doing like a couple days, like do 3 days, if you can't maybe do 5 days, if 5 days freaks you out, I don't know. I kind of go into it like a bull. Like I'm just like, all right, like get my athletic mode on. I'm like, I'm doing this. I got it. So the other thing that it does, and this is really good for those of you who have either you have a genetic predisposition, like in your family, Alzheimer's, dementia, if you have autism in your family, ADHD, CRPS, fibromyalgia, neurological conditions, what water fasting can do is it can enhance your brain function and prevent some of those neurological disorders. So, in the group, you hear these stories of these, toddlers and parents doing some of this. Obviously, I don't think it's 5 days. I don't really know how long. I've never done it with a toddler, but some of their stories are pretty incredible in the Fasting for a Purpose group with kids that were autistic, not responsive, and now they're talking and communicating. So it's amazing what this can do, and obviously getting off the standard American diet that is just full of chemicals and preservatives and things that are not good for our body. So all of that to say, the greatest part about it, right, we all would like this, is that it can help delay aging. So our cells will age. This is what happens. I used to work for the Frisco Senior Center, and I taught fitness classes there for 4 years. And, I used to just think it was mind over matter. Some people just have that mindset, and some people do. They're just really positive. I would never hear out of their mouth, well, I'm just getting older. Oh, it's just my genetics. Oh, well, I am this age. And so a lot of times I would hear people saying that. And most of the time they were the ones playing bridge and drinking coffee and eating the donuts, and not necessarily the ones that were taking my fitness classes and coming to my, nutrition course on eating clean. So, really putting those lifestyle habits into your life is huge. So changing your diet, getting off the standard American diet, learning how to improve your gut health. It is not normal. Trust me, I lived for 25 years with IBS that they now know as SIBO. So I have an overgrowth of bacteria in my gut, which probably affected the nerve complex down there as well, because I had really slow transition time and stuff like that. And so that is not normal. It should not be normal to have to be on a product every day in order to go to the bathroom. You can get fiber in your diet. You can get off of some of these foods that are laden with chemicals. So, if you guys want to have a consult, I'm always willing to have a consult and just help get you started. So just know that there is, a lot of benefits to water fasting. And I know it seems totally crazy. If you would have told me this prior to cancer, I would have been like, no way. Like, I only do that for spiritual purposes. But in 2016, the Nobel Peace Prize was won for, and I can't remember the man's name, but it was for his study on autophagy. And water fasting was one of the things that he used in the protocol. Man, if I would have known that prior to cancer, I would have been doing it. But 2015, I got cancer. Never knew about water fasting. But I'll tell you this, there's a clinic, I told my kids this, said I'm almost 5 years cancer-free, and I was like, if it ever came back, I'm going to this clinic in California. God, I can't even think of the name of it right now, but it's like 21 days of a medically supervised water fast where they've actually shown the tumors shrinking, which is amazing. So this week I'm not doing a lot of my supplements, but I did bring a couple with me because I wanted to show you guys what I'm going to be adding next week. So I've been doing the SIBO protocol from Dr. Pompa, and I've been using some supplements. So I used to take probiotics all the time, thinking I was doing the right thing, and come to find out, the biggest one that's in like the yogurt and everything, acidophilus, can actually make your SIBO worse. So what I did is I got off of all those probiotics, and one of the protocols, this is like the second month, I'll be going into, I'm kind of at like week 9, so but I'm starting to add, it's called Mega Spore Biotic. So, and it helps to recondition the gut. I always write on the top of them so I remember. Has 5 bacillus spores and basically helps the gut barrier to function and helps with immunity. So, one of the supplements I've been taking is Interphase to help break up the biofilm. So when you have SIBO, you have this biofilm that it's like boogers, basically. I think of like when you have congestion in your, because you have allergies or whatever, it's like congestion in your gut, and the bacteria will hide underneath there. And so this is one of the ones that Dr. Pompa suggests to take. And it's basically the first all-spore antioxidant producing one. So I'm going to add that, and it's really nice because it tells you just take 1 capsule every other day. It's like really slow, and then the second week you add a capsule daily, and then by week 2 you're doing 2. So that way you're just not putting something you don't really know into your body. So this is what has worked as far as his clinical trials have gone, and everything is working so far. Everything I've done with him has been great. The only problem I had is when I took Miralax for my colonoscopy. And so the next Thursday I have to drink the barium stuff for my CT scan. That normally makes me feel like crap for like 3 days. So, but this is going to be my last one, because then I'm going to be 5 years cancer free. So I'm just going to suck it up and do it. But here's the other one I'm taking. This is alicillian, I don't know where they get these names, but basically it's garlic and parsley oils. And so here's what I really thought was cool. This one has cancer fighting properties. It also helps the common cold. So since I've been really congested post colonoscopy, I'm really excited to start on this one. Also helps with blood pressure control and blood sugar and heart disease. So a lot of the supplements I'm taking, I'm noticing blood pressure control and helps with insulin resistance and immunity. So that's going to be one I'm going to add. This is considered a killer. So there's kind of like a threefold process when you do SIBO. And I think what happens a lot of times, at least in the groups that I'm seeing and my journey as well, is maybe there's a diet change, but that doesn't seem to work. Or maybe they take oregano oil or some type of supplement and then that only works for a time. Or maybe they're taking something to break down the biofilm, but they're not doing all these things in a protocol way. And so I think that's been where my success has come, is I've really followed his protocol, starting with, which was so crazy, 2 weeks on the carnivore diet. But I'll tell you what, I could not believe, and Renee, I know you're watching right now, you could probably attest to that. Some of the things that I've seen when I've done this, I couldn't believe my body and the way that I felt. And I could never live my lifestyle doing carnivore. I'm all about like whole food plants and stuff like that. But I didn't eat animals for 3 or 4 months, and I didn't notice any change. My SIBO was the same. But prior to that, probably for 2 years, I really limited myself. I didn't eat a lot of fish because of the mercury. I didn't eat, a lot of red meats. I mean, I don't eat, and honestly, like for me, if somebody said don't ever eat meat again, I would be fine with that. But I noticed that there's so many other foods that irritated me with SIBO. I couldn't give up everything, right? Like, you have to eat. So when I added stuff back when I did the carnivore diet for 2 weeks, I could not believe my results. And I have not had any inflammation in my belly since then. So that has been huge. That's like 9 weeks of, I think I'm going on like 9 weeks, something like that. I'm losing track of time. I don't even know, because I feel so good. So it's been really cool to like have a normal stomach. The other thing I wanted to tell you guys, I didn't bring my big bottle of Restore, but this product, Dr. Zach Bush, you guys need to check him out. He is like triple board certified. He's an endocrinologist. He used to work with in academia and developed cancer drugs, chemo drugs, using things like vitamin A and stuff, and then ended up working in palliative care and hospice, helping people to get healthy through nutrition. And he found like 30-40% of people were getting sick still on like healthy foods, kale and Brussels sprouts. And so that's really what brought him to a place of, as he was studying, they were studying ancient soil. You got to hear his podcast. I mean, he's amazing. And so in this study of the soil, he kind of found something that was really comparing what he was doing when he had been making the cancer drugs to get into the cell using vitamin A and to kill the cancer cell. So he saw molecules in this ancient dirt, and that was the same. So he thought, oh my goodness, we've always looked to the plants for medicinal healing. We've never looked to the soil. And so he created this product called Restore, and it's like dirt water. I mean, that's all I can tell you. And we started on it about 2 years ago, but my husband was way more into it. He listened to all his podcasts, and I think I was still following like Dr. Pompa, and I was just doing a lot of like whole food stuff and my cleanse. So, I didn't really completely, not that I didn't buy into it. It was more like, okay, what does this do? I don't know really what this does. So I really have been listening the last few weeks again to him, because after I had the issue with my colonoscopy, my husband was like, you remember what he said about Miralax? And I was like, no, and he's like, listen to it again and get some Restore. So we had some underneath the, counter. So I was like, all right. So I started taking that. And so this dirt water, basically what it is it, it helps you. It's like these trace minerals that are suspended in this purified water. And so what it does is it helps, what he found, at least under the microscope and all that, is that it was closing up the tight junctions that was causing a permeable gut. So think of like the leaky gut. You hear of leaky gut. So it helps to close those tight junctions, and it helps the cells to start talking to each other again. So it improves, like, your wireless communication, I guess. I think that's how he puts it. He has such a way to explain it. It's really cool. But this product is Sinus Spray. So those of you that have issues, especially in Texas right now with allergies, this is supposed to really help support your microbiome, because it starts at the nasal all the way through. And it also helps to get rid of any environmental irritants. So those are the couple supplements that I've added, and I just decided to buy that because post-colonoscopy, I've just had so much congestion that I needed something, and I really don't like taking things over the counter. I really don't like the products that are out there, like the Claritin and the Mucinex and all that. Usually I'll do a saline solution to help just clear out things. You use distilled water, or if you have a water purification system, you can do that. So those are just some alternatives. I also had a client last week. I was telling her my story about Miralax, and her doctor had put her on it. Every day she takes it, and I know that when I went through cancer, I took it every day as well, and I didn't really understand that it actually can open those tight junctions to allow the water in. That's why it works, but it's not as safe as we think it is. And so when you keep open those tight junctions, then you're allowing other things into your body, like bacteria and pathogens and things like that. And it can compromise our system. So take that Restore, get some Restore. I suggested to her to take a product called Calm. It has magnesium, and it really helps with chronic constipation. So if you have those issues, it's Calm. And if you want, I can put some of those links at the bottom. Dr. Zach Bush, Dr. Pompa. If you haven't followed me in my nutrition group, Mosaic Nutrition, I post all this stuff in there as well. So request to be added to that group. And I'll be doing more of these now that my house is in order. I am going to do a garage sale, and then I just need furniture for the living room. And then I'm done. So I'm really looking forward to putting something together, some free downloadables, so that you guys can get healed as well. I'm just super motivated and excited after 25 years of just pain and inflammation to be feeling better and to share my journey with you guys. All right, everybody, you guys have a great day, and enjoy wherever you're at right now. Even though it's hot, this sky is amazing. It's beautiful. All right, so happy Tuesday. Now I need to figure out how to turn it off. There we go.